Drag Racing fan, Monday Morning Racer here at Lee Craft. Between the Slicks is live and unexpectedly back at the Strip at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Hey, always like to make sure that when I am mobile doing these shows that you all can hear me. You never know when you might have technical difficulties, so put in that chat section, if you would, that you can hear the Monday Morning Racer right here on Between the Slicks. And while you do that, hit the like button, hit the share button as well, and subscribe to the Monday Morning Racer on YouTube as well. I want to welcome the CompetitionPlus.com audience on Facebook, the Drag Racing Connection audience on Facebook as well. Welcome to, I think, one of the most diverse drag racing shows that there is out there. And we continue the diversity tonight because, well, we've been in this A-Fuel theme, this top alcohol dragster theme this year with having, Julie Davis on, Madison Payne, Cody Crone. We're going to continue that because there is some spectacular competition and characters in that class within the NHRA. And tonight we're going to have one of the, well, I would say, when it comes to experience as a drag racer, and not just behind the wheel, but outside of the car as well, one of those individuals is going to be on the show tonight, and that is Matt Sackman. We're going to have him as the guest tonight, and he will be competing in top alcohol dragster this weekend at the 4-Wide Nationals here at the Strip at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. It will be actually his first 4-Wide event as a driver, though he's driven in the A-Fuel ranks before, and he's very accomplished elsewhere in like top dragster bracket racing, been a crewman for a very long time. He is a name that I think in the drag racing world, especially here in the NHRA, you should know about, and that is why we're going to have him on Between the Slicks right here tonight. We're going to have him a little later. Not sure when he's going to pop in. He was actually doing a little bit of work as I went out to the pits earlier today. I'll show that to you really quick as he was welding away on his hot rod. His hot rod is actually the car that Julie Natus often runs, so he's running with Randy Meyer Racing. And yes, he's got to work on his own hot rod as he usually works on them as a crew member with Randy Meyer Racing. But this shot, Matt at work. Dennis, yes, thank you for letting me know that you can hear me. And yes, to your question, Tony Stewart is running in the top alcohol dragster division in a McPhillips Racing A-Fuel dragster in competition. He has got to the second round on a couple of occasions, but has not gone back to a final round as he did right here for the last event last year here at Las Vegas. Main reason is the McPhillips, solid team. They're going to get it done. I think they're going to get Tony a win before long, for sure. But it's a brand new car. It's new pipe. And they've just got to figure out what it wants. Strangely enough, you can put a car on a jig and you can think that you have made it exactly like the one you just made that came off the jig. But because of the nature of welding and expansion and contraction, even as careful as they might be, they come out a little bit different for sure. So keep your eye out on Tony. Maybe we'll have him on the show eventually, since we're having this A-Fuel theme that has worked out on Between the Slicks. Oh, Trevor Larkin. We had Trevor Larkin on as well. Drag Racing Central, we'll take your question. I've heard Vegas is going to be packed this week, and 4-Wide isn't a problem, people. Oh, the DRC already bringing up the 4-Wide issue. Look, I would prefer if it was just happen once a year. Okay, I will say that. I do think it is a fascinating and interesting spectacle, and I'm glad that NHRA drag racing has it. And let me also say that 4-Wide drag racing is nothing new. It happened way back in the day. You can go to a 4-Wide drag race, or drag strip rather, at Byron Dragway, and they used to run 4-Wide drag races there. So it's nothing new, actually. It's just been put in the mainstream. It's been put at the professional level. It's been made a part of the program. As a matter of fact, I see these guys. Apparently they are, I know what's going on. So Alan Reinhart right now, I got no way of showing you, I'll describe it. He's talking to a group of initiates, if you will, those that have not experienced four-wide drag racing before. They're out there on the line right now listening to Alan Reinhart about how it's supposed to work. So that's pretty cool. I see some A-Fuel drivers, I see Trevor Larkin himself. Matt might even be down there. I got to keep jabbering a little bit longer before we have our guest come on and talk with him. But people are getting accustomed to what they should expect with the four-wide procedure, because it is different. And I can tell you, as an individual that goes to the line and films often, it is chaotic regularly when there's just two cars on the line. Then you throw four into the mix, it is a extremely chaotic situation, and it's strange. And who's doing this? Who's doing that? What light do I watch? And you're trying to get prepared for your shot, much less driving. It is a chaotic scene for sure. Justin Gully says, I would love to see a factory stock pro stock class. Factory stock pro stock class. Well, you've got Factory X coming out. And actually, that's going to be an exhibition class at the Charlotte event coming up. Looking forward to what Factory X will provide for NHRA drag racing. And then Factory Stock is out there. And love Factory Stock, the showdown, the way that it is. And, you know, some would love to see Pro Stock replaced. I don't want to see Pro Stock replaced. I'd love to see Pro Stock get back to its essence and have a far more stock appearing body than the naturally aspirated Pro Mod look that they have. But I still love the class because there is great competition and great drivers there as well. So, folks, we're going to take a break. Matt's just off the camera. We're going to get him on. We're going to go ahead and chat with him, and you all can learn about Mr. Matt Sackman and pull for him this weekend here at the Strip at Las Vegas Motor Speedway for the NHRA 4-Wide Nationals. We're going to talk to Matt right after this break here on Between the Slicks.
If you own a beautiful modern muscle car like this 1320 Challenger, I'm sure you don't want it stolen. Because the Challenger and many other modern vehicles have an easily accessible neutral release strap. That was your coin holder in your center console, and beneath that there's this red cord that someone can pop, put it into neutral, and potentially easily steal your car. But at Destroyer1320.com, they have the TDS, Theft Deterrent System, which is a cover over that strap using factory mounting points so that you don't get popped by a thief. So make sure to go to Destroyer1320.com using promo code MMR for 15% off and get your Theft Deterrent System TDS and steal the thieves' hope.
All right, we'll go to one screen so it's not that confusing. Sitting next to me, Mr. Matt Sackman, and hey, as you mentioned, got a tutorial going on out there. It's going to be your first 4-wide, and you're like, hey, I'm good. Why?
I've been standing on the starting line for 9 years now, and when I worked on Antron's top fuel cars, so I have a pretty basic understanding of how it all works.
He definitely has an understanding of how it works, guys. And he mentioned there, working with Antron Brown. How many years?
9 seasons.
9 seasons out here on the road with Antron Brown, and that would be Don Schumacher Racing, AB Motorsports with that transition, and not only crew guy, but you do have your top fuel license. You obviously have your A fuel license because that's what you're in this weekend. You're in a top dragster also with the family ride. Anything else that I'm leaving off?
Maybe an appearance in a fuel alter later this year.
Ooh, I like that. Appearance in a fuel alter. Where might that be?
I might be at the Fuel Alter Nationals.
Oh, Eddyville?
Yeah.
Ooh, I'm liking what I'm hearing, folks. Look at the portfolio. That's why you guys need to know this guy. Mr. Matt Sackman, look, going to be fuel altered, a fuel dragster, top dragster, and also top fuel. And we'll stop there. I'm going to play a video so everybody understands that, yes, we're not lying and that you actually do drive top fuel, because I got to see it firsthand when we were in Virginia last year, and I'm like, who's in your car, Antron? What's going on? And it was you, which I knew you as a crew guy, but didn't know you had your license. So, folks, watch this. boom, 385 there at Virginia Motorsports Park, several other runs that day. And why was that occurring? You already had your license, but talk about the maintaining process.
I mean, to maintain it, you just need to make a run every couple of years. I mean, I think it's a 2-year period that you have to go. So my license is good for another 2 years now. So
let's talk about Top Fuel while we have shown that already. You're a good-looking young guy. I think you're marketable. You've got the experience. You know how to work on these cars, but you're not in a ride. How tough is it actually to be out there competing for just even one event?
It's extremely tough. I mean, we're talking $100,000 minimum to be competitive. So to go find $100,000 for one weekend, I mean, that's tough to do, and it's very tough for these guys to find full season sponsorships. And the guys that do, I mean, like Antron, he does a very good job at marketing himself and finding the money to do that. I mean, it's tough out here. I mean, you look all of motorsports, it's tough to find money, and making the B2B side of it work, that's the key to it all for the most part.
Right, B2B, finding those partners. I'm going to bring up a photo of the A-Field Dragster because I want to talk about one of your partners. I see them. It's like they're on every car, and the car does look very familiar this weekend. Some slight differences. Hankstafers or Hankstafers. Yes, Hankstafers. Thank you. Lubricants for metalworking industry, and like as much as I see them, is there like a family tie or something? What's this partnership?
I mean, we're like family now. I mean, now we're just friends, and we created this partnership with one race deal in 2015, and it kind of just grew into a full season with the Top Dragster, and then it was like, okay, and then the A-Fuel opportunity came around and did that, and then they actually they funded my Top Fuel licensing in 2019 at this track. So, and then they're just they've been on board with me since 2015, and they've really given me a lot of opportunity in drag racing. Unfortunately, they're not one of those companies that could take me full time or anything, but they definitely have put me out there way more than I can afford to do.
They cracked the door, and sometimes that's all we need is that door.
Yeah.
I think of like Chip Lofton for me and Strutmasters.
Yeah.
He cracked that door.
And they're still keeping the door open for me, so they're still keeping it cracked. It's not like it was a 1 or 2 year deal. So they've been keeping it open since 2015, and we're just trying to grow their program and get them in more machine shops across the country. But I mean, especially in the racing industry, because all these parts on these cars are either welded or they're machined. So there's a lot of business out here for them.
Yeah, speaking of welding, as you saw, played it earlier, he was already welding on his hot rod. He's got to work on his own car this weekend. You said 9 seasons with Antron Brown. And I show up at the Gators. I'm walking through the alcohol pits as I do because I love the alcohol classes. And, you know, I'm over at Bartone. I'm over here with the Galwick. And I finally make my way over there to Randy Meyer and talk with Hunter a little bit. And I'm like, what's Matt doing down here? What is, you know, and then I'm like, well, maybe this is a one-off deal. And then I'm like, well, Matt's that promoter too. What's going on? So why the transition from the fuel ranks as a crew member to working with Randy Meyer Racing now?
I just wanted the opportunity to race more. And I wanted to race with my dad. The Randy Meyer opportunity came up with after that. So I wanted to run more with my dad in our Top Dragster, and I'm going to run a full season this year with that. And I really couldn't go get a real job somewhere and say, hey, I need all this time off. So I was kind of just going to take the year off, kind of be semi-retired a little bit.
And what, 32?
Yeah, 30. And then I've known Randy since I was race junior dragsters, and he was like, well, why don't you come help me out some races? And I was like, sure.
And working with Randy Meyer, talk to me and us about the difference in workload. I'm not going to say it's an easy day over there Randy Meyer Racing, but compared to a Top Fuel car and what you've got to do, and especially someone that had a threat to win, such as Antron Brown, what that's like compared to working on a fuel car.
Yeah, normally the fuel cars aren't a whole lot of work until you come over.
And I come over and make them work more somehow.
Then we have to do a full service on the motor. But typically during a normal run, we come back, we stick a clutch in it, lash the valves, put oil in it, do the bottom end, and then take it back up there. And I mean, it takes us less than 30 minutes to do that. So versus a fuel car, you're completely stripping the motor, putting fresh parts back on it, and then running it back up there. So Top Fuel team, you got 7-8 guys working on it. A fuel car, we have 3-4 guys working on it. So it's a little less chaos.
A little less chaos. And so folks know, and I'm sure you've done all the roles, but what was the role you were in the longest with Antron Brown as a crewman on the team?
It was my first 4 years. I was a clutch assistant for 4 years, and then I kind of bounced around doing every other job. So I never actually did the clutch on a fuel car, but I've done the clutch on a fuel car, so it's pretty similar concept.
What is there an area of the car as of right now that you have not touched, you do not know in what all you have done already?
I had never touched blowers before until Gainesville test with Foley's. I went and helped them for 2 days because they're.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Oh. Yeah. I got to go out with my buddy two-seater.
We love Doug Foley here and Junior. We do.
Yeah. So they're a small team, so most of their guys are part-time. They fly in, and one of their guys couldn't get off work, so Warrior actually. So I came in and just kind of filled in for Warrior a little bit. And all I really did was take the blower out and off the car, and Glenn just kind of showed me a little bit on what to look for on the blowers, and that was my only experience working on blowers. So.
I know from what I have seen and observed, if there's a job out there that I think I don't want in the fuel ranks, it's actually blower. Like what you got to do to put those strips back in alone, no, I don't know if I want that job at all.
It kind of just depends on manufacturer, on the rotors and all that. If it's easier, not some are harder than the others. So,
and it's amazing how different, even from the same manufacturer, every blower comes out. It's just. They're not identical whatsoever.
No, they're all built on a CNC machine. They should theoretically be identical, but they're not. And that's why a lot of teams dyno them, and or if they don't have a dyno, they just run them on the car, and the car will tell them if it's different or not. And the blower guy's got to massage it a little bit, and try to make it as close to the other ones as possible.
All right, first race of the year for you in a fuel car. Usually it's Julie's ride. It's your ride this weekend, and you were making some adjustments. Talk about some of the adjustments you had to make. I noticed the chassis that there, if I may say, there's the guy spot and there's the girl spot for the dash panel. So talk about transitioning the chassis to fit you and opposed to Julie.
Yeah, so Julie's quite a bit shorter. I'm not tall by any means, but she's quite a bit shorter.
We're both not.
She's quite a bit shorter than me, so I just had to move the dash forward and the pedals forward so I can be comfortable in there. I mean, I probably could have drove it bunched up, but Randy's cars are set up for different size drivers, so which is really nice for the drivers. I mean, you can be comfortable in the car, and so just adjusted that, and then put some decals on this morning, and that's about it.
Ready to go. And speaking of being ready to go, have you been in a car at all this year, or will this be the first time you're driving? And if it is the first time you're driving, is there any sense of you having to come up to speed to be competitive this weekend?
No, this will be my second time driving. I made a few test runs in Gainesville before the Baby Gators in Hunter's car. Hunter's car. I've never driven Julie's car before, but this is my first time racing in competition. Do I have to get up to speed a little bit? Not really. I mean, once the car starts up, it just kind of goes back to. It's like riding a bike, goes back to normal. So I know what's going on. Now, 4 wide, I mean, I'm just gonna have to pay extra attention staging because if you're in lanes 2 and 3, you got to look across the tree, and it probably could be a little bit tricky, I guess. But we'll see how that goes. So.
All right. Yes, I'm sure it's going to be tricky, but you're going to get it and move forward. And it's always interesting with the 4-wide situation for sure. How many races this year in a fuel point?
This is the only one I have scheduled right now. Maybe one later in the year. We'll see.
Somebody get him in a ride again. Get him in a ride beyond the fuel altered. Okay, get him in a ride.
I wish there was a regional race in Joliet again this year, but that's for sure. I would be doing that one if there was a regional there, but maybe next year, hopefully.
Okay, great. Well, with doing a fuel, great. This weekend, possibly elsewhere, fuel altered. Let's talk about the particulars of Top Dragster. So this one's got white on it. I've seen another one that's like purple and black, so I don't know which is which, but explain that. Okay.
That was the first year that we signed on with Thanks to Bruce. We ran that wrap for that season, and that was 2017. My brother Zach, he actually won his first national event with that wrap on our car in Joliet, our home race. So that was a pretty cool year. And then we changed the wrap the next year, and then we changed it the the year after that. And we kind of had that scheme for the last couple of years, and we're actually going to unveil a new scheme here probably next week. The car just got finished getting wrapped at the house, so get it rolled outside, get some pictures, and post it on the internet.
Very cool, very cool. Top Dragster itself, some fast bracket racing, and some serious competition. I've seen you at PDRA, obviously NHRA, beyond. The particulars of Top Dragster competition, what makes it different from obviously A Fuel, Top Fuel, and why is it so competitive?
The starting line in Top Dragster, you got to be good on the tree. I mean, you have to be good on the tree in all classes, but Top Dragster and any of these other Lucas Oil Sportsman classes, you need to be 20 or better on the tree every time you go up there. And the way the NHRA races are, sometimes you make one run a day, sometimes you make 3, sometimes you make 2, and one's in the morning and one's 12 hours later, and you got to go up there and be good on the tree, and it's difficult to do. I mean, and that's the competition. As far as the driver aspect, there's more driver involvement in that class because it's a bracket class. So there's not just cutting reaction time or cutting a good light, but then you got to get down to the finish line going 220, 230 miles an hour, and you're looking over your shoulder at the guy next to you. You're trying to take a couple feet at the finish line or less. And I think it's a pretty exciting class to race.
I would agree. It is exciting. I know from watching it, especially in the PDRA, extremely competitive. And not to mention some of those guys, I'm like, guys, just go run Top Alcohol, for goodness sakes. Why are you doing it here? And I even saw that at the spring fling at this track just last week. There were guys coming out with combinations, like Dallas Glenn was in a combination. I'm like, it's basically a Top Alcohol dragster car. What's going on here? So in that world, it being so competitive, describe to me some runs in which have been extremely close for you, winning and losing, and have you experienced anything like the spring fling?
I've never experienced anything like the spring fling. I don't think we'd run our car in the spring fling. Those guys are very, very competitive, and they make a lot of laps. I don't make near enough laps to run with those guys, but I don't know. I mean, I've lost by a few thou, won by a few thou. I mean, it's just you race enough, it happens. So then hopefully we don't lose by making really bad decisions, like guy breaking next to you and you running out the back door. But I mean, yeah.
You guys
Right.
with NHRA?
No, not
Okay.
in particular.
I'm looking for the division director. I waited too long to come find
I
him.
have no clue where the division director would be.
Okay. Afraid they probably already left for the
I'm sure he's probably out doing something in the pits.
Yeah, what is his name?
Mike Rice.
New guy?
Oh no. Yeah, I'm not sure what the new guy's name is.
Is Mike here? Have you
No
seen him?
clue. Haven't seen Mike.
All right.
Sorry. And we're back. So, in live show, you never know what happens. Technical difficulties or folks coming on in. Now, you've got Top Dragster experience, A Fuel experience, Top Fuel experience, possibly Fuel Altered experience coming up here shortly. What else for Matt Sackman is out there? I mean, funny car, we'll do that?
Yeah, I mean, the Fuel Altered that I would drive is pretty much a funny car minus the funny car body. So I'd love to drive a funny car someday. I'm really good friends with John Lawson. I've known him since I was a little kid. And he's always told me whenever I have time, I can drive his car. And well, maybe this year, maybe next year, I'll have some time to do it. I mean, the last 9 years, I have not had any time to do that. So I don't know. We'll see what happens in the future.
Pro Mod.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if I'd pretty much drive anything out here but a Jet Dragster, I think, or a Nitro Harley. So
All right. Why not a Jet Dragster?
I mean, to me, it's not like a normal car where you hit the gas and you let off the gas and it stops. I don't really know a whole lot about them, but from my understanding is when you shut them down at the finish line, it takes them a little while to wind down and finally shut off. And I don't know, just
It's like, that's a bit too far,
Yeah.
a bit too far,
Yeah.
a bit too unknown,
Yeah.
right? For
Yeah.
sure, for sure. And yes, hey, I don't blame you for not saying Nitro Harley, but if you're willing to pay, I'll do it. Somebody pay, I'll do it. I'll get out there.
I'll pay to watch.
All right, let's start the fun. I got Mike Ashley on board. Matt will pay to watch, so we'll figure this out. I'll give it a shot. Someone pay out there, please.
That's probably
please.
why Mike's on board too.
It's probably why too. Yes, to watch, because it would sure be heck of a short ride. I imagine it would be a short ride, but I would give it a shot. I'd give it a shot. So, out here in the drag racing world, you mentioned, semi-retired at 30 from doing 9 years on the road with Antron Brown and in the fuel ranks to go racing with family, your dad and your brother. Why? Because most of the time you hear like, man, I can't stand my dad. I don't want to work with him. I don't want to race with him. So it's cool to hear that you're like, man, I want to go race with my dad. So talk to me about the family dynamic and racing together as a family.
Don't let me fool you on that. We definitely have our moments. So, but I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's just like I'm 30, so I mean, my dad's not getting any younger, so I'm not getting any younger. I mean, at some point I'll probably have a family or something. I don't know. And I mean, it just seemed like a good time to do it. My brother Zach, he actually he just started his own business this year. He's started his own fab shop and powder coating shop. So he wasn't really planning on racing a whole lot this year. So I don't know, it just kind of all worked out. And then I moved to Knoxville, Tennessee with my girlfriend. So I mean, I just made all sorts of life changes this year.
Knoxville, man, that's a good place to be. Yeah. You're not too far from Nashville. You can go to Chattanooga. It's a great spot in Tennessee to be.
Yep, and there's a racetrack 20 minutes from us. So
right,
it's a nice area.
Knoxville is cool. Knoxville is cool.
Fairly close to Bristol. I mean, lakes everywhere. I mean, it's nice.
Yes, it is. A lot going on in Knoxville. I highly recommend you get to go chance to go to Knoxville. You do that. Go hang out. Good vacation spot. You can catch a lot within Tennessee. Well, you said you'd like to drive just about anything if you had the opportunity. In the world of drag racing, NHRA drag racing in particular, Matt Sackman, he puts his head on the pillow, gets in a dream state. He's dreaming exactly what he wants to live out in NHRA. What does that look like?
Definitely racing in the fuel classes, either funny car or top fuel for sure. That's definitely my dream. So, I mean, see what happens in life. I mean, I got to drive a fuel car, and I'm very thankful for that. I proved to myself that I think I could be competitive in one of those cars, and I mean, it's not that it's good enough for me, but I mean, I felt good about it, and going to race top dragster this year. I mean, if I don't get to race a fuel car again, hopefully I do. I mean, I was fairly content with my decision and not, quitting off that team and maybe not getting to drive a fuel car again. I don't know. That my ultimate goal though, is to race full time in the NHRA Tour in a nitro car. So I mean, I would race full time in a pro stock or a pro stock bike, but fuel car for sure is definitely cool.
Everything's at Jet Dragster and Nitro Harley. He's good. He's ready to go. Let's put him on or in.
I do need to add. I did bracket race in S10, and then my cousin has a beautiful Nova that he let me bracket race a few times. So add that to the resume.
Okay. Nova. Very common in bracket, but door truck. I like the flare door truck. I like that. And so from bracket racing to fuel racing, Matt Sackman here has got it covered, and in the crewing. You can see him out here with Randy Meyer crewing away, whatever hot rod they've got. Have you experienced a weekend yet where Randy's got like 4 A fuel cars out there?
No, we had four in Dallas, but we weren't running all 4, thankfully. But I believe at one of the chaos races this year, we'll be running 3 cars, so that should.
Yes,
we're gonna add some chaos to the chaos.
Because you should have Megan, obviously, Rachel, and Julie with the funny cars. At one of them at least. They all will be there. So you know what? We need to get Randy back in the car for a chaos race. We need to do that. We need Randy back in the car.
I think he needs to drive the funny car.
I like that. I'd like to see Randy.
I'm pretty sure he's never driven a funny car.
So. No, he hasn't. He said that round 1 victory at the Classic was his first ever round 1 victory in a funny car, period, ever. So that was, for a guy who is really a legend of the sport, that's the first time that's occurred. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. You were a part of it, dude.
Yeah, I never really even thought of that. That was his first time ever with a funny car getting around with it. Yeah, that's definitely cool. Randy's done a lot in his career, so that's cool. Hopefully, we'll get that funny car figured out a little bit more. So.
Well, you're on the team. Maybe go ahead and get some funny car experience too.
Yeah, we'll possibly see what happens there. Randy's got a pretty full schedule this year, so
for sure. Yeah,
there's not really any opportunity. Maybe to test, but there's really not a whole lot of opportunity to do that. So I think Randy said he's got 1 weekend off from when we started in Belrose a month ago, and he's got 1 week off from there until Pomona, so he's a busy guy.
Right. And the Mystic Extreme Zoom Out, well, the reason for that is because it's on my cell phone. I'm doing this mobily. It's just how it works. So you get what you get. Now, with Randy Meyer himself, what kind of dude is he? Because a lot of people out there, I think they see Randy and they see kind of like a gruff, no talking, alone to himself kind of guy. But I got to know Randy, and Randy is like very cool, very laid back. Hey man, get a beer type of dude. Yeah. So working for him and what you've got to learn about Randy, describe him to the drag racing world.
Randy is probably one of the hardest working people in the pits for sure. He his story is super cool. He came from nothing, very poor, started his own business and grew it into a very successful business that afforded him to go racing. So in the pits, yeah, Randy, we like to goof around a lot. I think that's why him and I get along pretty good. We're both smart asses, so we like to joke around and have fun and laugh, but we know when we gotta be serious and make sure nothing on the car gets messed up and put it all together correctly.
Matt, look, last question for you. We're here in Vegas. I love coming to Vegas for a drag race because you get an air show. Maybe you all can hear the jets in the background. And Las Vegas provides a whole lot more than just the racing part as entertainment. When you come to Las Vegas as a driver or even back in the day as a crew member, what do you like the most about it other than the racing itself?
Probably the free air show every day.
Nice.
I mean, I also like this place too because in 2015 I got my top alcohol license here, and then in 2019 I got my top fuel license here, so I got a few memories here too, as well. So, but no, this place is awesome. Going down the track, looking at mountains. I mean, airplanes flying overhead. I mean, it's a great place. It's
a pretty cool spot. Well, this is one cool dude. Y'all need to follow him, Matt Sackman. How can people follow you? Race page, anything?
Yeah, just Facebook and Instagram, Matt Sackman.
Okay, look up Matt Sackman. Follow him. You'll see him later in Top Fuel. He'll be winning races. You never know. He might win this race in A Fuel competition, Top Alcohol Dragster competition this very weekend. Matt, man, thanks for being on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
All right, folks, we're going to take a break. And when we come back, a very brief Between the Slicks drag racing news.
Power-Built Tools exemplifies innovation in the tool industry. From hand tools, power tools, and even tool storage. Check out powerbuilt.com for Power-Built Tools. And remember, use promo code MMR15 for 15% off at purchase.
All right, folks, back here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, the Strip. Let's go over some drag racing news really quickly. Not much to talk about. I do want to go over my experience from the Spring Fling, which was here. Before we do that, though, announced earlier this week, and Megan has been on Drag Illustrated, the West Buck Show. She also has been on the Competition Plus Power Hour, but Megan Meyer is back in competition. You see the new look of the dragster. There she is in a new fire suit. Gunk is the main sponsor. Lucas Oil is helping out, Shop Squad as well, and others. And she's going to be competing full-time this year in the Nitro Chaos Championship Tour, a 4-race tour. And I like what Megan's already done. She's brought a big-name brand to Nitro Chaos, but not only has she brought a big name brand to Nitro Chaos, she's calling out big names within that world. On Tuesday night, the Competition Plus Power Hour, she called out Kevin Kinsley and the War Wagon. If you go back and look at the footage on the Funny Car Chaos YouTube channel with the Nitro Chaos that was at MoCan last year, Megan and Kevin faced off in round 2, the semifinals, and Kevin red lighted. Slight margin red light, but he red lighted, gave it to Megan, and Megan's like, hey, I want the fair and square matchup, because it was like a 55 to a 56 there in the 8th mile. It was a solid drag race. And yes, without the red light, green lights on, would love to see what that drag race would look like between an A-Fuel car and the world's fastest fuel altered in the War Wagon. Continuing in drag news, and we'll stay in the chaos world. Yes, the Chaos Cajun Nationals have been postponed. They were not canceled. They were postponed to September 15th and 16th. They now will be the championship finals for Funny Car Chaos. I think this is a good move that Chris Graves and crew has made. It allows the race to get out of the rainy season, if you will, there in southern Louisiana, and it puts them in a much more favorable weather situation. And you start in Texas, you end in Louisiana, and you go everywhere in between. That's not a bad way to do it, and I think State Capitol is a good place to do it for sure. The Spring Fling, the Million, was out here this past week at this very drag strip, the strip at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, and Peter Biondo and his crew with the Spring Fling, the Flings. What a well-run show that program is. Extremely well-run. All right? I also appreciate how they were concerned for the racer. They were concerned for people of the media. They were concerned for the track crew in trying to have days that were not extremely long. They came to the realization one night, wow, if we run this race through, it's going to be 2 a.m. And they decided to combine 2 days of racing into 1 day of racing over 2 days. And doing that, they were two $30,000 races. Well, they combined it. You do the math, that makes it $60,000. But they sweetened the pot with that transition and made it a 1 2-day, $100,000 race. Again, they thought about the racer, they thought about track crew, they thought about media, they thought about everybody involved. And thank you for that. So keep up the good work, Peter Biondo and crew with the Flings. What spectacular competition there was with those racers, serious bracket racers for this event with a lot of money on the line. And we're talking about, for example, I believe there were nearly 2 perfect runs. So perfect reaction time and then dead on a dial in. There were 2 that were like 1/10,000th or 1,000th off. Wild. And we're talking then it increases where it's 2, 3, 4, 5 in, I think the way it's termed, packages that people were getting near. And that is just wild. Also, what a great group of cars. Yes, a lot of dragsters. But Chad Reynolds said this from Bang Shift, and I have to agree with him. You know, dragsters, supercomp dragsters, and top dragsters in drag racing and the bracket racing world, they're like the, you know, the jet boat or the cigar boats of the drag racing world. Everything's painted from like the valve cover to the rear end to the transmission, and it's all themed out and it continues. And a lot of those cars were beautiful machines. A lot of interesting door cars as well, like McNeil Freeman with his taxi cab. That was great. Oh, by the way, I got to take a ride in the back seat for the burnout, and I handed him a 20. That was cool. And then you've got hot rods that were, well, like one guy had a Falcon out here. It's rare to see a Falcon these days. And there was a guy with a Porsche out here running. There was one individual, he had like a 39 Chevy Coupe, and it looked like something that was a rat rod crossed with a gasser, crossed with a Pro Mod, crossed with a bracket racer out here bracket racing. So there were some beautiful cars out here for the Spring Fling. Overall, great event. And it may not be something that you would go to as a spectator, but when it is being streamed, check out the Flings and appreciate the competition that is in them. I do want to very quickly mention the winners. So one photo, Dylan here, Dylan Ho, he won the dragster shootout for the first night, and then he also won the combined race as well. So he got 2 wins. congratulations to Dylan. And then Andy Small, excuse me, I believe that's how his last name is pronounced, in the door car, in the Beretta banana, as they were saying. He won the big money race. And it's pretty cool when you win the big money race with the flings here, the million at Las Vegas, like the showgirls are there, and you get to go in a limo ride to your suite that you have for 2 nights at the South Point Casino. So they make it a big deal to win this event, and it is a big deal. I mean, we're talking like it was like 400 something cars, and entered in that combined race. It was over 650 cars, an insane amount of cars, and an insane amount of competition in the Spring Fling Million and the flings overall. Moving on, Drag Racing Central, I don't have a photo, but he mentions Kyle Kelly's new NPK Grand National, which, if you have not seen it, you need to see it. That thing is beautiful. And you gotta mention, people wonder why people are not gravitating to like Pro Stock or gravitating to NHRA Pro Mod. I mean, look, I love NHRA Pro Mod, but I think modern day Camaros, the way they are in Pro Mod, they are hideous. They are hideous. But you look at something like what Kyle Kelly brought out, and that Buick Grand National, it looks like a Buick Grand National, and it's got a mean stance. That's something. T-shirts are going to sell that thing. I'm telling you right now, it is a good-looking hot rod for sure. Well, ladies and gentlemen, look, a bit of an abbreviated Between the Slicks tonight, unless anybody chimes in with something, and we can continue the chat. I am done with a day of travel, left from Flagstaff, Arizona this morning to get here to Las Vegas and then chat with Matt. Follow Matt Sackman. Follow him this weekend with the top alcohol dragster classes, and you be on the outlook. You very well may be in a top fuel car winning Wallies before long. Somebody get behind Matt. I mean, you're talking about a guy that from bracket racing to top fuel can do it. Has done it. We're talking about a man that can do anything on an A fuel car or a top fuel car, works now on a funny car, can do it all in the world of drag racing. You saw right here, he's a well-spoken guy, good-looking guy, can carry himself well. If you're out there and you got the means and you got marketing dollars that need to go somewhere, call Matt Sackman and get on that dragster, and let's get him in a fuel ride before long. I certainly think he is deserving of it. Let me say this. There are more out there just like that. There are so many out here that you don't know their story, and their story is worth being told, which that's why there's Between the Slicks. Yes, occasionally we might have some of the biggest names that there are, but if you want to learn about drag racing and who might be the next big name, I think and I hope that this show, Between the Slicks, is a place where you can learn that very thing. To each and every one of you, thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Hit the like button for me. Hit the share button as well, and subscribe to the Monday Morning Racer YouTube channel. Until next time, God bless, and keep the pedal to the metal.
Hero Soap Company is a veteran-owned establishment that produces all-natural, essential oils-infused soap that is sold with a portion of the proceeds supporting other veteran groups. Hero Soap Company. Heroes supporting heroes. Be a hero yourself and buy a bar and let freedom fling.